You're listening to Live from the Heartland. It's Saturday morning, the 17th of December, the year 2009. It's a few days till the inauguration of our 44th president, Barack Obama. I'm Michael James. I'm hosting this morning's edition, and I am talking with Elizabeth Vatel, who is the executive director of the Rogers Park Community Council, doing a lot of good work. Elizabeth, let's talk a little bit about the immigrant situation. You just talked about Rogers Park as a kind of a point of entry. Your paper features a story on the Lost Boys of the Sudan and activities going on around the Sudanese community here in Rogers Park. And some of the work that you do with the Community Council is helping people with immigrant rights problems. Share us a little bit more about the details of the immigrant situation here in Rogers Park and how you work to deal with that.
Well, I can tell you one story that is kind of a happy success story.
That's the kind we like.
And it's a gentleman from Nigeria who came with his entire family, and actually legally. Everybody had green cards, everybody had passports. But his work situation when he arrived here was that he was parking cars for one of the big parking companies. And he had has 3 little girls, and they were all in school locally. And he was really having a hard time keeping his family well cared for with that salary. So he came in, and our wonderful Multicultural Resource Center director, Victor Valle, plug for Victor here, worked with him extensively. And ultimately, we were able to get his transcripts from his extensive schooling in his home country, where he was sort of a master's level teacher, validated and certified so that he may begin actually teaching here and practicing his own chosen profession rather than spending the rest of his life parking cars just to keep body and soul together. So,
not that there aren't a lot of sharp car parkers out there.
Absolutely. Well, he was certainly one of them. Very sharp car parker. But that's the kind of thing that makes me really proud of our agency and the work that we do, that it really doesn't matter how many hours Victor has to put in to making this happen, he's going to do it, and it's been done. So that's an example of the immigrant program.
Another thing that you talked about a little bit was your youth program. And I wonder if you could fill that in for us a little bit, what you do, and because there's been a buzz around the neighborhood that there are really not a lot of things for young people to do and places to go. We have a overloaded, overtaxed park at Loyola Park. I think that Mary does a great job over there, and there's a lot of kids in there, and there's not as many resources as there ought to be. There's a new park up on Howard Street. What's your general take on the youth situation and activities for youth in the Rogers Park community?
Well, I've also heard a lot of people say that there are not enough programs for kids, but I do want to make sure that we give a shout out to the programs that exist and work very hard to serve kids.
Tell us.
In addition to us, there's the Howard Area Community Center that provides lots of activities for kids. And also Family Matters, Kim DeLong, who would be a wonderful guest to you.
Yeah, and Dan McNeil, who works with a lot of young guys up there, and he's been on the show and brought his young guys doing poetry, etc. It's a great program.
Lots of people are working with kids, so it's not as though our community is ignoring the needs of youth. I think the new beautiful Gale Community Center could be a good resource. I'm sure you heard there was a bit of controversy over whether or not a boys' club could come into that space. That ended up not working out.
Yeah, I still think that's an issue that might want to be followed up. I mean, I think just off the top that I think if the boys' clubs were able to come in, there might have been more hours of youth programming than there are right now. But I could be wrong on that. I know it was a pretty divisive issue for several groups in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I'm not taking an official position one way or the other, but I was part of some initial discussions about it, and it seemed that, in fact, the Boys and Girls Clubs would have provided out-of-school time programming for all out-of-school time, meaning every afternoon after school, weekends, at least Saturday, and vacation time. So, I mean, and we our programs are required to do that. The programs that we have through the city, we're required to cover that time as well. But it can be very difficult when school is closed and there's no place to go. Because, for example, our program at Armstrong, they've been very graciously given us all kinds of space. But if they're closed, they're closed. So we have to bring the kids somewhere else. So guess where we take them? Loyola Park.
Yeah, at Loyola Park, they do a great job over there.
Oh, Mary's wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, we're going to run out of time. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to, you being Elizabeth Vatel, the Executive Director of the Rogers Park Community Council, to share with our listeners, not only in the dining room here at the Heartland Cafe, but on the airwaves of WLUW 88.7 and even on YouTube at Heartland Media, one word. Tell us a little bit about what you think is important coming up and what people should know about you and what your email and contact would be. Whatever part of that you want to tackle.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're located at 1530 West Morse, just really around the corner from here. Our phone number is 773-338-7722. Everyone needs to be patient because right now our phone system is recovering from having been underwater. So we might not answer calls right away, but we do get back to everybody. Our website is www.rogerspark.org. And we are looking forward to a new year of programming. And one of the things I'd like to mention is the possibility of volunteering through RPCC.
I think, volunteering is going to be a big thing in the Obama era.
One of the things that we do that's actually my favorite volunteer matchup is young people with computer skills with some of our seniors, let's just say, without them. That's been really fun to watch when a high school or college kid will come in and teach a senior how to get on the email, as they say. And that's
We're talking 1,000 points of action, not just 1,000 points of light.
So I invite everybody. We do have a volunteer form, contact form on our website, so if anybody's interested in that. We've worked with Loyola students and Northwestern students in that regard before. Let
me just ask, finally, do you find, what's your sense of the instincts of volunteerism right now? I mean, you mentioned you've had kids from, young people from Northwestern and Loyola helping out with the Rogers Park Community Council programs. Is that on the upswing? Is that a steady thing? What's your take on that?
It's absolutely on the upswing because we've had people walk in and volunteer to do things, which was a first for me. And even in the aftermath of this flood that we had, we've had people come in and say, would you like us to help you clean up? So it definitely seems like the spirit's taking off.
They still need help cleaning up. Go walk in.
Actually, we don't need help cleaning up because the insurance company has to do it their way.
Okay.
But we really appreciate the offer.
Well, Elizabeth, you all do great work over there, and I'm really honored to have you as a guest on the show, and I'll look forward to working with you for many years to come. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Michael.
Let's have a big round of applause for Elizabeth Vatel, the Rogers Park Community Council. I am Michael James. You're listening to Loyola University's community radio station, WLUW 88.7. You can see this show by going to youtube.com and then finding Heartland Media, one word. It's a channel now with lots of little takes. So I'm going to get our next guest, Tracy Siska, coming up from the Justice Project. We're going to take a very short musical break. Suzanne over at the studios will take care of that. That would be Susan. And thank you very much. Everyone is tuned in. Stay tuned here on the left end of your dial. We'll be right back with more Live from the Heartland.